All right, folks. So the Dow fell off a cliff yesterday. Right, we're down 1,000 points. We're down another 366 at the moment. S&P 500 is down 40. Nasdaq's off 100. Russell 2000's off 29 fucking points. What's going on? All right, so if you watch these financial shows, right, legit, if you watch these financial shows, they're talking about the coronavirus. Now, I always said mainstream media is bullshit, and there's a reason why the mainstream media is bullshit. It's because they're full of fucking shit, all right? It has everything to do with the coronavirus, but nothing to do with the coronavirus at the same time. It's very simple. When you're on television and you have to entertain people, it tends to turn you into a piece of garbage, right? And this is why I don't make a lot of videos. This is why I don't do a lot of things on my channel right now. Legit. This is exactly why. And the reality is that in order to keep eyes on screen, in order to stand here and keep individuals watching you, you have to make things compelling. And you also have to dumb shit down. And I'm not interested in doing that. Legitimate. I'm not interested in talking to y'all like y'all are a bunch of children. Okay, because I'm a grown-ass man, dog. Legit, I'm a grown-ass man. And I want y'all to be grown-ass men with me. And I'm going to try and get y'all to raise up. So I'm going to release this video. And I released some information to some buddies of mine last night who, if they did what I told them to do, are making some money right now with me. And then in the end of this, I'm going to show you how you can make some money. Legit. I found out how to short the entire market as a whole, and you can get 3-to-1 investments as the process goes down. And I'm gonna show you how it's gonna keep going down from here on out for the foreseeable future. So let's begin. I got a bunch of articles lined up. We're going to sit here and go through this. It might take about 45 minutes or so. I apologize, but it's a nice long thing. Sit and watch, listen, whatever you're going to do, it'll be cool for you, believe me. You know what I'm saying? You'll be more educated than most individuals around you. So virus threatens U.S. companies' supply of Chinese-made parts and materials. This is the real big thing about what's going on right now, okay? And this is why, like, the Fed printing money can't fix this shit, all right? So, oh, come on, man. Don't be moving too much on me here. It's not cool. All right. The battle to contain Chinese coronavirus threatens to cut off U.S. companies from parts and materials they need to produce iPhones, automobiles, and appliances, and drugs to treat medical conditions, including Alzheimer's disease, high blood pressure, and malaria. Some of the United States' best-known manufacturers, such as General Electric, Caterpillar, the big three automakers, along with many smaller American businesses, depend on what's made in Chinese factories. Now they confront life without those items. Major airlines in the United States and Europe are halting their cargo and passenger flights to China for up to 2 months. Recent visitors of the country are barred from entering the United States. After 4 decades of growing integration with the rest of the world, China almost overnight has become an economic island. It's temporary isolation. No one knows for how long. It will hurt companies that depend upon Chinese inputs as well as those that sell to Chinese customers. Now, this is absolutely true, all right? And there's no reason not to motherfucking believe any of this shit, all right? Because legit, like, I knew last week, you know what I mean? Like, if you're watching the Silver Report, you knew that places like Tesla were talking about they only had a week or 2 worth of supplies, and then it was all over with. You know what I mean? So that's really where we are. All right, so consumer electronics makers are among the most vulnerable because many game consoles, smartphones, and tablets are made in China. And on Saturday, Apple announced that it had closed all of its corporate offices and retail stores in China, where it booked $44 billion in sales last year. Until February 9th, because of the virus, the concern is not the zombie apocalypse of people dying in the streets. Yeah, like, yo, this is not about the people. Nobody gives a shit about the people. Legit. All right, many people could die, and believe me, that would be good for the economy as a whole. Let me keep this all the way 100 with you. The people who are dying from this disease are old people, all right? And the very, very young, you know what I'm saying? But mostly old people. So if old people die, that means all those pensions and Social Security and insurance payouts and massive amount of money you got to spend on end-of-life care disappears overnight. And that's kind of good for your economy because debt kind of just disappears overnight, right? And it's a sad way to look at it, but that's reality. All right, so The concern is not the zombie apocalypse of people dying in the streets. The concern is that huge chunk of the global economy gets put out of commission as people wait it out, said Patrick Chovanec, managing director at Silvercrest Asset Management in New York. The White House advisors so far have played down the disease's effects, with President Trump's top economic aide, Larry Kudlow, saying last week that he expects the virus to have no material impact on the U.S. economy. Well, he's wrong, and here's a great thing. The feds can't print their way out of this one, right? Like, because it's really simple. If you don't have any items to sell, it doesn't matter how much money you pump into the economy. Because basically what you're going to have happen is individuals are going to want these products. So basically, if there's less products, you're going to cause inflation to begin with. Basic supply and demand. That's how this operates, right? And if you pump money into the system, people are just going to have more money to bid on these items that are fewer and fewer in between. So you're just going to drive up price. So you'll have massive hyperinflation if you try to print your way out of this one. Most Wall Street economists likewise say the economic damage will be limited. Economists at J.P. Morgan Chase on Friday cut their first quarter global growth estimate by 0.3 percentage points to 2.3%. But they predicted a swift rebound that would return China and the global economy to their pre-crisis trends by mid-year. The sanguine forecasts are based in part on the disease outbreak from 2003. The Chinese economy recovered quickly after severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, another fatal flu-like infection, temporarily emptied offices and factories. But there's no guarantee that the coronavirus will trace a similar path. Already there are indications that while new virus is less lethal than SARS, it spreads more easily. China's $14 trillion economy is also 4 times as large as it was 17 years ago and far more globalized. 17 years ago. About 150 million Chinese business executives and tourists took an international flight in 2018. The most recent data available, more than 7 times the 2003 figure, according to J.P. Morgan. Globally, the number of shipping containers moving among the world's ports has almost tripled, according to the United Nations. In Youngstown, Ohio, Phantom Fireworks worries that prolonged hiatus at its Chinese supplier may prevent it from importing sufficient inventory for the Independence Day celebration. Though its vendor in Yulang, about 200 miles from Wuhan, is scheduled to reopen on February 10th. Phantom executives say that the shutdown will probably last at least an additional week and perhaps several more. Right? Chinese officials also closed part of the port of Bahai last week, severing a key export link. Few alternative producers exist outside of China. This is reality, folks, when it really comes down to it. All right? Shit's still closed. Know what I'm saying? People still aren't allowed to leave China. They have 780 million people locked down right now in quarantine. That is a massive amount of human beings when it really comes down to it. He said, we're in a very precarious situation, no question about it, said Alan Zolden, the company's executive vice president. I'm not very confident at all. It's pretty unprecedented territory. Precautions that the Chinese and American governments are taking to stop the spread of coronavirus, justified on grounds of medical necessities, are raising a potential economic toll. An official quarantine will keep factories across much of China closed since January 24th for the Lunar New Year holiday, shut off for at least one more week, maybe longer. All right, I don't remember when the hell this was actually made. 3 major U.S. airlines, United American and Delta, suspended flight to China until the end of March. American grounded this plane immediately one day after its flight attendants union sued the company, arguing that the virus made such trips unsafe. United and Delta will stop flying at the end of the week. That means trans-Pacific air freight shipments will be limited for at least 2 months, even if the Chinese factories return to normal operations before then. X says that for now, it's continuing its flights, but some U.S. companies are drafting contingency plans for supply disruptions that linger into April or May, according to Craig Allen, president of the U.S.-China Business Council. China is the largest export destination for 33 countries and the top source of imported goods for 65, including the United States, according to a 2019 McKinsey Global Institute study. So, now, with that being said, there's a reason why they're standing here having an issue with this coronavirus, right? It has little to do with, the actual virus itself. It has everything to do with the fact that they're sitting here shutting down, right, all of these factories, and businesses aren't able to get parts. All right, that's the reality of shit. So here's another article. This is from Rico. This is from February 20th, which is 5 days ago. Apple, Amazon, and Facebook have all acknowledged their businesses are being impacted by the global outbreak. All right, so the outbreak of the COVID-19 coronavirus has taken the lives of over 2,100 people, with all but 11 of those deaths in China and infected over 75,000 as of February 20th. As the world scrambles to contain the public health crisis, global businesses are starting to take a hit, particularly in the technology sector. China, which is the second largest economy in the world, has all but halted its production of consumer goods like phones, clothing, and automobiles. For the past several weeks. The country has taken an unprecedented wartime measure to control the virus's spread, such as placing several restrictions on some 780 million people and instituting mass quarantines in major cities. Wall Street Journal reports that the lockdown on Chinese manufacturing has caused global markets to shudder and is casting an ever-widening shadow on the economy at large. That's particularly prevalent in the tech industry, which depends on Chinese labor to build everything from computer chips to cell phone parts. In recent days, China has started reopening its factories despite public health concerns in an effort to restart its economy, but manufacturing sites are still running at a far lower capacity than normal. It's still too early to measure the full financial impact of the virus on the tech industry, but the early signs don't look good. Apple, the world's most valuable tech company, said it's reducing its revenue targets this quarter in a rare company advisory released Monday. Tesla said that last week health epidemics are a risk to its business. Amazon's e-commerce business relies on the flow of goods between China and the U.S., and other countries have not released similar warnings but are stockpiling supplier items from China to protect against future disruptions due to the virus. And Chinese companies themselves are feeling the hit, with tech giant Alibaba calling the outbreak a black swan event as an unpredictable on a recent earnings call. Yeah, you hear about black swans, falling angels, things of this nature, all right? It's kind of whatever, right? Social media companies, which are trying to keep up with the slew of misinformation about the virus's origins and spread, are still financially less impacted than companies like Apple, since their main line of business isn't selling physical goods. But even Facebook has been affected, setting reduced production goals for its Oculus Quest virtual reality headsets, in part due to a slowdown in Chinese manufacturing because of the virus. And virtually all the major tech companies, Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft, have restricted employee travel to China, either banning or limiting it only to matters of critical importance. They're also asking workers returning from China to work from home for up to 2 weeks. In some cases, tech professionals in the U.S. are so concerned about the virus that they're taking other precautions, such as wearing breathing masks and eliminating handshakes in business meetings. As Recode recently reported, for now, there are only 4 confirmed cases in San Francisco Bay Area. But some feel these preventative measures are important given the high volume of travel between China and the Silicon Valley, and concerns that the virus could grow out of control given how it's spread in Asia. Well, let's keep this real, right? This is like the flu. All right, I remember years in, the steel mills when I was working. And when I was working, in actual factories and shit, instead of just, driving, where we'd have, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80% of the labor force missing just because everybody was sick. Legit, we'd go from, 40 people in a given area to, 5, right? You know what I mean? And, you just come in here, you're sitting there, you're like, man, look, we can't do anything. We can't even start the machines up because there's not enough people to run the line. And, the boss is like, yo, just go home. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It's like, all right. And, this is just part of life, man. Sicknesses happen. This is why I always said, legit, we should eliminate, schools, right? Because they're basically little germ factories, right? And they just, they just spread viruses from one household to another. And we should probably do school in the summertime rather than in the winter. I don't understand why we do it in wintertime when, it's the most likely chance of you actually getting sick. Right, that's the dumbest shit ever. It's something like billions and billions of dollars are lost every year. All right, so overall, the economic and social impact the coronavirus is having on the tech industry puts into stark relief the close connection between Silicon Valley and China, not just for manufacturing, but for supplying a workforce of highly skilled engineers, investor funds, and academic collaboration. Outside the workplace, tech companies are pulling out of major global conferences or canceling them altogether. As Rico reported last night, Facebook canceled a 5,000 person global marketing conference in San Francisco, and the world's largest phone trade show, Mobile World Congress, was canceled after major tech companies like Amazon pulls out over coronavirus concerns. Legit, it's not killing like normal people. It kills old people. Like, I understand, like, you don't, like, see, this is the problem when you're a bunch of punks. Like, legit. You know what I mean? Like, you act like you've never been sick before. Like, your mom's probably all raised you in a bubble. That's probably the situation. This is the problem when you let little boys be little girls. Legit. You know what I'm saying? This is what happens when you let, you know what I mean, these weak motherfuckers, these weak-built, frail niggas just walk around like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's what happens when we let moms raise kids. In its advisory, Apple said Monday that worldwide iPhone supply will be temporarily constrained because its manufacturing sites in China are experiencing a slower return to normal conditions than anticipated. Its manufacturing sites in the region slowly reopen. The New York Times reports that even though some factories are starting up again, they are still operating well below capacity, and there are serious public health concerns about whether reopening the factory is the right decision at all, considering the virus continues to spread in China and elsewhere. Companies are increasingly talking about the threat of the virus in public business announcements. A Market Watch report found that out of the S&P 500 companies' recent earnings calls between January 1st and February 13th, 38% of transcripts including the term coronavirus at least once. Yeah, another major tech company with supply chain impacted by the virus is Amazon. It's estimated over 40% of Amazon's sellers are based in China, which means that a large chunk of the products people buy comes from the country. In addition to that, a large portion of U.S.-based sellers source their products from China. Drop shipments, you know what I'm saying? Right, that's kind of where we are. In a response to the question about this practice, Amazon sent Recode the following statement. Out of an abundance of caution, we are working with suppliers to secure additional inventory to ensure we maintain our selection for our customers. Yo, there ain't no way you're going to be able to do that, dude. Like, legit. There just ain't no motherfucking way. All right, so let's move on to the next article. All right, where are we at? Browser 3. Okay, interact. Okay, so Tesla stock hit hard by coronavirus fears, lost 7% on Monday, but it's up after hours. All right, let's talk about, Tesla and what exactly is going on here. Because, like, Tesla came out last week and let everybody know that, it's basically just running out of parts. As a result of coronavirus fear, Tesla stock has hit hard while other companies are also suffering. 3 major stock indexes have plunged. That's all of them. That's how that operates. After a sustainable growth, Tesla's stock plunged more than 7% on Monday, closing down 7.5%. The company's shares ended the day at $833.79. Tesla stock is hit hard as a result of the sell-off driven by the coronavirus fears. However, it's worth mentioning that after hours, the price is moving up. Now, Tesla price is around $854, which means it's up 2.42%. I'm not real sure where it's at the moment. I'm pretty sure it's down. Right at the end of 2019, Tesla built its plant in Shanghai and later began manufacturing operations. But the company relies heavily on Chinese suppliers. But as coronavirus fears are spreading, the global supply chain may turn into economic chaos. According to Garrett Nelson, an analyst with CFRA, the company's production is so dependent on its new China factory that the virus's spread will affect Tesla more than other car makers. However, coronavirus will concern not only Tesla, but other tech companies that have operations in China. Such an outcome results from the plunge of 3 major stock industries. The Dow Jones fell more than 950 points to settle at 27,960. The S&P dropped 1.1% to close at 3,337. And besides the NASDAQ Composite Index closed at 9,576, closing, tanking 1.8%. As we see, the situation is aggravating. Tesla stock hit hard. Other companies are also suffering. For example, Apple Incorporated stock closed down 6%. Amazon closed 4%. Microsoft has also lost 6%. Above all, market participants have started shifting investments away from risky equities to safe haven assets like gold and government bonds. Yeah, that's, on some legitimate shit. That's really where it's at right now. Until quite recently, Tesla was showing the best performance among tech companies. It seemed that his bull run was not going to stop. On Wednesday, February 19th, Tesla stock price surged a whopping 7%, its biggest single-day jump in the last 2 weeks. It was trading at a price of $917 with its market cap touching $168 billion. After that, the company announced its plan to use CATL's cobalt-free batteries in cars produced at its Shanghai plant in China. Further, Tesla made more important announcements by closing its common stock offering just a week after its first announcement. The American automaker netted a whopping $2.31 billion in the offering. The company sold a total of 2.65 million shares to the public. Tesla CEO Elon Musk purchased 10 million worth of new shares. Board member Larry Ellison ended up buying 1 million in stock. Since the beginning of 2020, Tesla stock doubled in the past 3 months. It surged 142%. Well, let's keep this all the way honest. That would have been a great stock to bet on, but it's super overpriced right now. Like, it is ridiculously overpriced right now. It's yeah. The company is not worth what the stock is looking like at the moment. So, with that being said, what the fuck is this? Hang on, I'm gonna move something. All right, so browser 4, interact. Okay. Nissan faces global part shortage due to coronavirus, report says. So, this is a map of, the actual supply chain. All right. So, as you can see, 5 to 10, 10 to 30% of all over 30 to 70%. Which one is this, man? I don't know why they do these all in blue. They should do them in different colors. You know what I'm saying? Because these shades are super difficult to see, right? But I know places like Japan, looks like Middle East and Kazakhstan. All these places get more than 70% of their parts from China. These are 10 to 30% in Russia, 5 to 10%, 5%, less than 5% in Canada, 10 to 30% in the United States, 5 to 10% in Mexico. Brazil is at 10 to 30%, right? Europe is all 5 to 10% of their parts are all coming from car part imports. All right, Nissan is bracing for potential disruptions in plants in Europe and the United States. Because the coronavirus epidemic in China is leading to a part shortage and wreaking havoc across the supply chain. People familiar with the matter told Bloomberg. The Chinese automaker procures more than 800 parts from factories in the outbreak epicenter of Hubei to make cars worldwide, and is concerned that the most of those components, ranging from brake hoses to air conditioning controllers, will run out if plants in the province stay idle beyond February 21st. When the government has signaled production could resume for most companies. According to one of the people who asked not to be identified discussing a private matter, the shortage could lead to some Nissan car output in Japan to be suspended as soon as February 23rd, followed by Malaysia soon after. The person said further delays could mean plants in the U.S., Mexico, UK, Spain, Russia, and India, and Mexico again also have to stop production, the person said. Whoever's writing this article was in a rush. Nissan's woes provide a glimpse into the challenges that have arisen since China locked down Hubei, the country's fourth largest vehicle manufacturing hub. Cars comprise about 30,000 parts, roughly 100 times what goes into a phone, making automakers and their supply chains particularly vulnerable to cataclysmic events such as the coronavirus outbreak and the 2011 earthquake in Japan. Researcher IHS Markit estimates that the epidemic could cut vehicle output by more than 1.7 million units. That's more than what industry leader Volkswagen Group produces globally in any given month. Nissan closed part of its production line in Kyushu, southwest Japan, on February 14th and 17th. It would also hold output on February 24th. Azusa Momo's spokesperson for Yokohama-based automaker declined to comment on any future factory plans that haven't been announced. Supply chain risk. Meanwhile, Hubei continues to be locked down, particularly in Wuhan, where the virus was first detected. The municipal government announced February 13th that all factories in Hubei will be shut until at least February 20th. The province is home to Nissan's Chinese partner Dongfeng Motor, making the Japanese car maker more vulnerable to disruptions than most others. So basically, the deal is that global manufacturing of automobiles is being disrupted by this. All right? Because it's not just them. Ford took a massive dump, legit, yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So, that's really what this is about. It's not just us. It's also Japan. It's everywhere in the world is being affected by this. So this isn't just an America problem when it really comes down to it. This is a global market issue as well. So, let's go to the next one. Right. Man, I don't even know what this is. Legit. What we got here? Right. Hold on. Interact. I'm sorry, folks. Interact. I don't know why the hell it is. It's standing here doing some nonsense. Uh-oh. We got coronavirus on the front screen. Iran's coronavirus death toll rose at 16, the most outside of China, heightening its international isolation as dozens of nations from South Korea to Italy accelerated emergency measures to curb the epidemic's global spread. U.S. administration seeks $2.5 billion in funds. All right, so anyway, right, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. You know what I mean? Legit, you know. Either way it goes, like this here was going to be like U.S. manufacturers scramble for costly alternatives. Hang on, let me see if I can get that up on screen for y'all. Hang on 1 second. Come on, man. All right, copy. Come on, you. All right, properties. All right, we're going to put this in here. Paste. Okay, go there. I don't know why it is. It's like standing here being like a little girl about things, legit. But sometimes it does that. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, yo, you're in the middle of doing something and like, I'm not going to stop recording. You know what I mean? I'm not going to stand here and cut this up because of this. But like legit, you know what I'm saying? We're going to stand here and get this proper. All right. So the outbreak of the coronavirus in China has forced U.S.-based suppliers to industrial giants such as Caterpillar, John Deere, and Komatsu Limited to grapple with a surge in costs to avoid production disruptions. All right. As the epidemic slows exports from the global manufacturing hub, higher prices for everything from tubes to metal pieces could further dent earnings of tractor and machinery makers that are already battling with a downturn in America's industrial economy. All right. China is struggling to get its economy back on track after imposing severe travel restrictions to contain the virus that emerged in the central province of Hubei late last year, which has so far killed over 2,100 in China and spread globally. That's not even that many people. That's like 5 days worth of people dying in Chicago, right? Illinois-based Morton Industries is trying to find the domestic source for tooling and fixtures used to shape metal that it previously imported, but limited domestic supply and a rush to secure the suppliers that formerly flowed from China have sent prices up as much as 30%. Kevin Baldwin, Vice President of Operations at Morton. This is what I was telling you earlier about automatic inflation, just due to the fact that you're lacking parts. Supply and demand, some basic stuff. You know what I mean? Like, yo, you lessen the supply, the demand stays the same. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, when you need stuff, right? Like, it's just natural, you know, like you sell so many eggs, so many cartons of milk, so many cartons of iced tea, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So many pizzas every week, whatever, right? You know, like, and then you go, oh man, we don't have the stuff to make this anymore. And people go, but we still want this stuff. We're relying upon this stuff. We need this stuff, right? You know what I mean? Like, we run a business off of this stuff. You go, well, man, you know what I mean? Like, I got this much of it. You're gonna have to pay me a little more. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. Because, like, you know, this individual here offered me an extra $1 a gallon or whatever the case might be. He's like, all right, I'll pay an extra $1 a gallon. And these individuals are like, well, I'll pay an extra $2 a gallon. That's how inflation works. You know what I'm saying? It's that basic. You know, when you need stuff, it's worth what it is. Value is kind of fluid. All right. Baldwin said the company has asked customers to shoulder the higher costs of the components as we couldn't absorb them. The increased costs are not limited to the parts these companies make. Shifting sources often means buying new tools and spending money to ensure that new parts fit the specifications demanded by equipment makers. Caterpillar declined to comment, as did Deere, which reports earnings on Friday. Komatsu did not respond to a request for comments. Executives of a half dozen suppliers told Reuters they are taking measures that include tying up sources outside China and booking air freight as opposed to normal sea freight to fly in available parts and components from China, where roads and ports have been restricted to ensure they can keep their customers' supply. Woodbridge, Illinois-based Maury Copes expects to face shortages for circuit boards and casting parts next month if the stocks are not replenished. The electronics manufacturers reached out to vendors in the United States with its sourcing director, Tanvir Khan, said the price difference between domestic and Asian suppliers are as much as 30%. Yeah, man. Like, yo, it costs more to build it in a place where you have regulations. You know what I mean? You can't just dump your garbage in the rivers and stuff like you can over in China. You know, you can't stand here and just like abuse your workers like you can in China. Like, American people are, you know, like they're fat and sassy and happy. You know, they have the ability to access credit and they have the ability to do all types of stuff that the Chinese can't do because they're an emerging economy. They're not, you know, an economy that's already at that service sector level. Like, we're at the back end. We're going to have to go back into being an industrial economy. You know what I mean? Like, we're going backwards. We're not going forwards anymore. These individuals are still going forwards, exacerbating the pain of trade war. Supply disruption come on the heels of nearly 2-year-old Sino-U.S. trade war, which inflated the cost of imports and industrial parts and the components from China and sapped business confidence, resulting in layoffs and production cuts at manufacturing, including Deere and Caterpillar. Well, it could be that, or it could be the fact that, like, you know, boomers are retiring and people aren't going to be standing here buying tractors, buying riding lawnmowers that cut a 1/4 acre of ground anymore. It's like, yo, when you go from making $100,000 a year to, like, now you standing here on retirement, you only got 25 grand to live. You ain't going to be standing here buying, you know, I mean, a new tractor every 2 years, you know, for no reason. Like, it's just not going to happen. So you're going to end up losing shit. Like, it just, whatever, man, right? Unlike a trade war, the coronavirus impacts may be short-term. Prices could spike, then decline as the supplies improve. The number of newly imported cases in China has fallen in recent days. But for now, the outbreak is further inflating the cost, and the threat of component shortages looms. As Moline, Illinois-based supplier of Caterpillar and Deere that declined to be named said it's paying 40% more to domestic vendors for components that used to come from China, cost it is passing on to its customers. Bill Bachman, chief executive at St. Louis, Missouri-based Bachman Machine Company, said an industrial company had reached out to him for price quotations for metal stamping after facing difficulty in obtaining supplies from China. While he has done work for this company for 3 decades, Bachman says he could not match the Chinese rates. Regardless of what they're paying over there, we have to quote what we have to charge here, he said. Yeah, no shit. You know what I mean? Look, this is what I've said for years. There's no reason we should be chasing China down the toilet. Like, that's basically what we are. Like, yo, we are literally chasing China down the toilet. And that's ridiculous. That shouldn't be happening. The same as, like, yo, we shouldn't let Mexicans stand here and come into our country unhinged, right? Like, unimpeded. And just stand here and just chase Mexico down the toilet for labor costs. Like, that's not how this operates. We have, like, yo, the government sets the market. All right? The government does 3 things: defense, set a market, and infrastructure. That's all it does. Legit. That's the only thing the government's good for. All right. And, you know, I mean, the defense is like natural. You have to have defense. Like, it's that simple. I don't care what these ANCAPs or what these, you know what I'm saying, anarcho-communists say. Like, they're borderline. Let's be honest. If you're an anarcho-communist, do us all a favor and go try to breathe underwater. All right, legit. I don't want to hear about the Mexican cocaine sellers that, you know what I mean, like, oh, they sell coffee, they sell cocaine. Get nothing misunderstood. All right, and they're working with Hezbollah right now as well. Right, and like, yo, right, yo, defense is natural. That's what the basics of government is. It's really simple. You know what I'm saying? When you have a group of dudes all banding together with their families, go, hey, look, we do better to go out hunting if we work together. You 3 could walk the deer into me, I can clip them here. That's how that operates. But while you're gone, you need somebody to watch over your wives, so the other people in the tribe down the road don't come in and steal your wives and your children and take your stuff. You know what I mean? And those individuals you lead to guard, those are your soldiers. And you pay them in meat when you come back with a deer or whatever it is, a buffalo, antelope, a woolly mammoth, whatever the case might have been back then. That's the beginnings of defense for a government. That's how government starts, right? And setting the market is yo, look, when you get to the point where you have a town and you have like a marketplace, you can say what you can and cannot sell. You can be like, yo, look, we cannot sell children. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, no, right? You know what I mean? And the government has every right to do that. I'm like, yo, that's not, no. You know what I mean? That causes problems inside of our society. We can't be having kidnapping. You know what I mean? You can say what you can and cannot do, you know what I mean, to make, we'll call it money or financial advancement. All right? That's an important stuff. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. So, with that being said, right, you know, that's part of setting the market. And this is part of setting the market too, is you controlling how many individuals and who can work inside of your society. It's just like who can vote. You have to control the franchise. It's that simple. You can't let everybody vote. Why? Because everybody's not qualified. Legit. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I can stand here and prove that I know enough that I should be able to make those type of decisions. How many of you can? Legit. How many individuals do you meet on a regular basis, you talk to, you hear from, and you go, yo, that dude should not be voting. Like, that dude should not be making decisions. And that's the part where it really comes down to it. You know what I'm saying? Legit. So, anyway, I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent there a second. Meanwhile, Chinese ports are short-staffed. A shortage of truckers is making it difficult to move products from factories to ports. This has led to a higher demand for air cargo, but the capacity is limited or the costs are becoming prohibitive. Flying things in the air is extremely expensive. Legit. Even Polakidis, director of North America at CCTY Bearing, says his company is ready to fly in products piece by piece from its plant in China. This bigger challenge is how to keep the facility running if the factories of suppliers remain closed. CCTY has informed its customers that stocks on hand would not last beyond April, but it is not just for our products, but also for other products, and there could be shortages, Polakidis said. All right. Anyway. Right, last article. Last part of this. I promised y'all I would teach y'all or show y'all some stuff on how to be able to remain above this. All right. So this here is what's known. Oh, come on, baby. Go back up, go back up, go back up, go back up, go back up. Okay. This is the ProShare Ultra Short QQQQ. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. All right. But this here is what it is a triple leverage shirt. All right. So basically what it does is if the market goes down, it goes up 3 times as much. It's that basic. All right. Market's down 1.65%. This is up 4% right now. It's going to go up higher, right? Because it's down 1.65. So it has to catch up to that. All right. 3 times. 3 times. That's how this operates. All right. It goes up 3 times as much as the S&P 500 goes down. It's only $20 a share. Legit. It is $20 a share. That is very simple. All right. And it's going to continue to go up as long as the market goes down. You know what I'm saying? Legit. So with that being said, this is the most beautiful, right, way of doing things. Okay. And all of these are up right now. Look, other ones are up even more, right? The TZA. This is a small cap bear, three times whatchamacallit, at $40 Direxion. SPXU, the SDAO, right? Let me make sure y'all can see them, make sure they're up on the screen and whatnot, right? But these are all shorts, all right? And you can buy them on Robinhood. I bought them on Robinhood. Legit, this is a good way, you know what I mean, to hedge your bets against, you know what I mean, the market. If things are going badly, things are going to go badly. You know what I mean? You might as well profit off when things are going badly. You know that things are bad. We know that things suck. We know that stuff is not happening properly right now, right? Here we can actually go and look. You know what I mean? I'll show you what's going on inside of the market at the moment. You know what I mean? And break it down a little bit, get to where we need to be at. You know what I mean? See if we can stand here and get this to come up. Hang on a minute. Let's see. I don't know if it's going to let me move. I'm not sure. Hang on. We're trying at the moment. We're trying. Right. Oh, there we go. It's doing something. It's doing something. There we go. Okay. S&P 500. Right. So let's see what we got going on. Because it should have some other shares right around. That's usually how this works. Right. It's down 57 points right now. It went down 100 points yesterday. The Dow Jones is off 500 points again today. It can do nothing but go down at this point. Like there's literally nothing it can do but go down. You know what I'm saying? When it really comes down to it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing it can do but go down. So like, we can't lose at this point. Like, even if they stand here and print money, like, buy silver and gold. That's what I do. I go to SD Bullion. If you want to use the code, SRU, the Silver Report Uncut, you know what I'm saying? Make sure, like, you know what I mean, a fucking homie stand here and, you know, get some love and whatever, you know what I mean? When it really comes down to it, you know, and like legit, you know, it's like a 5 ounce, you can get a 5 ounce bar of silver, I think for like $97, something like that. You know what I mean? And that's going to go up, you know what I mean? Because they're going to try and print their way out of this. And so they're going to cause inflation, you know, legit. But that's really where we are right now. I promised you I'd show you a way to do it. You know what I mean? And that's legit how you do it when it comes down to it. So, you know, it's where we are. Anyway, man, look, this is Tom Pease of Pnoid News. I appreciate y'all watching, checking this out. Remember, SQQQ is a short on the market. All right, on the S&P 500. You make money as they lose money. You know what I mean? Like, yo, not a bad way to do it. It's not that expensive. At $20 a share, throw $100 and grab 5 shares real quick. Look, in 2018, these shares were $3,000. Or 2008, these shares were $3,000 a piece. If it goes down, you know what I mean, if the S&P 500 goes down to even, say, 2015 levels, you know what I mean, which is a 1,000-point drop, yo, look, you can make $3,000. Like, that's, you know, not a bad way to do it when it really comes down to it. So, anyway, man, I'm Tom Pease with Pnoid News. Y'all know the situation. Holla at your boy. Peace.